carbon emission from aquatic ecosystems. In addition to that, I have a company where we are selling highest number of rice, millet, sugar varieties in India and also in 8 more countries. So we are known for selling rice varieties. We are selling almost more than 70 types of rice in India. The company is selling the highest number of rice varieties in India. Okay. Before I enter into like how whether or not plants save us from air pollution, I would like to tell a few things about plants. I have a habit of reading quite a lot of books. 2 books changed my mind quite a lot about the way that I looked at the plants. One is The Secret Network of Plants. It's quite like boring, but if you want to understand more about plants, it's very wonderful book. And the other book is like Secret Network of Nature. It's a wonderful book. I strongly suggest everyone to read. I think it's written by a German author. It's a wonderful book to know more about nature. I'm working with nature for the past 12 years. I worked in boreal, subboreal, Arctic, tropical conditions. I used to tell my family that I spend quite a lot of time with snakes instead of my family. Initially, I was very afraid when I saw the snakes, but afterwards, I do sampling here. The snakes are taking rest right behind me. They are not harmful. Like I was doing sampling in Arctic, and there were polar bears. They were trying to open the door. So I have seen. I spend a lot of time with different creatures across the world. It was a wonderful thing to spend time with nature. The most surprising thing to me is the plants. Because if you read if you read the 2 books that I said, you'll come across how plants feel, how plants respond to us. It's an amazing thing. Like if you see there is a data. I think even in Discovery Channel they tried that. If a rabbit comes to a place where carrots are cultivated, the carrot plants are like pretty afraid of rabbits. If you keep 2 plants together and you take a plant and you kill it in front of the other plant, and if the person who kills the plant, if he comes back again to the same room, the plant which is live will be really afraid to when the plant realize that the person who killed the plant is coming. So these are the measured data. You can see that even I think it's available in YouTube also. Do you know where the oldest tree in the world is there? It's in Sweden. I think it's 10,000 years old. I think the trees, it's coming like the branches. It's the roots are coming as a new plant, and it's still in Sweden. I think the oldest tree is 10,000 years old, and it's still in Sweden. You can see it in Google after this webinar. So, if you take the plants, if you take the trees, if there is one old tree, like if there is a tree which is 100 years old, if it is in a farm, then the rest of the tree, if it's like 10 years old or 20 years old, they don't get diseases quickly, because the tree which is 100 years old, that will transfer the knowledge of when the flood comes, when the drought comes, and how we should respond to the when the pest attacks and things like that. And if in the farm, like if there are thousands and thousands of trees, if a single tree notice that there is water shortage in the soil, then every plant will limit taking the water. It will communicate immediately to the rest of the trees. So if same like that, when a pest attacks a single tree, all the trees will start responding. All the trees will be like ready to respond to the pest. It will start secreting some chemicals to kill or to move the insect away from the trees. So the trees are very sensible. They communicate a lot with other trees. So this ecosystem is not like the way that we are thinking. It's a fantastic system created by nature. Trees are like we should look at the trees like in a complete different way, how we are looking at it right now. One of my colleague, he did his BS in India, and then he went to Royal Botanical Garden, Kew, England. I think most of you know about this Royal Botanical Garden, which is in England. I think my colleague, he tells that every botanist wants to at least once goes to this Royal Botanical Garden before they die. Every botanist wishes to go to the Royal Botanical Garden, and he went there twice, and he attended a course over there, and he's right now in India. He told me that whenever he feels depressed, he goes and hugs the tree, which is in his farm, which is 300 years old. Whenever he feels depressed, he goes and hug the tree, and he's a scientist. He told me that he feels extremely like relaxed after he hugs the tree for half an hour. He even taught me how to hug the tree. Like, he told me that we have to keep this place like this with the tree, not like this. We have to hug like this. This whole body should be touched by the tree. This is the way how we should hug the tree. One of my farmer, he tells me that whenever he feels happy or unhappy, he goes and talks with his mango trees. Like, these are the things I came across in my life so far. And I even felt that I have an neem tree in my farm. So whenever I go to my farm, it is actually around 400 years old. Actually, the mother tree is 400 years old. It was cut down by people. And there was another neem tree came from the root. It is almost like 60 years old. Whenever I go there, I hug it, but I make sure that no one sees that, because people still know, they don't believe that trees are like living creatures. Because everyone, those who come to my farm, they ask me to cut down the tree because it produces a lot of shade, and no one wants. Like, we see this world as a commercial, but it's a very bad thing. Actually, it covers quite a lot of space in my farm. So everyone says cut down the tree and cultivate something and make some money. But to me, this tree is more than money. So I spend quite a lot of time with this tree. So trees are amazing things. Some of you are believing in religion, and in Hindu religion, in Buddhism, people spend quite a lot of time with the tree only. So trees are amazing things. So try to spend as much as time with the trees. You will feel completely different. And let me come to the session. Some of my colleagues, whenever I tell them that like, make sure the trees are well watered, or like things about this air pollution, things like that, initially I will have quite a lot of argument, because everyone strongly believes that trees and plants save them from pollution and everything. Actually, it's true. I'm not going to say it's 100% false. Trees and plants, they save us from everything, from what are the mistakes we make. They're trying to save us. But let me break it in different parts. Let us take ourselves. When we go in the road, when we expose to too much pollution or too much heat, what happens to us? When I go to a city called Chennai, it is in south part of India. It is extremely like polluted, and it's like so much vehicles on the road. And when I go into the city, and if I am completely exposed to the pollution, when I come out, if I do like this, I can see a lot of oily thing in my hand. What's happening? We are responding to the pollution. We get stressed and we respond to it. Our body responds to it, right? The same thing happens for the trees also. So when a tree is exposed to a stress condition, it responds. That's it. It's common for human. It's common for animals. It's common for plants and trees. That's it. So scientists, like, they did a study in Beijing. They compared how I'm going to speak about volatile organic compounds. Volatile organic compounds is emitted by our daily activities. Like, in our house, we get volatile organic compounds from the paint that we do in our house, from the sprays that we use. And in the US, government actually requests people make sure that you are not exposed to too much volatile organic compounds. So we produce quite a lot of volatile organic compounds, and it is called AVOC, anthropogenic volatile organic compounds. Volatile organic compounds is also produced by trees. It is called biogenic volatile organic compounds, BVOC. Let me type it in the Google chat so you can read more about it after this session. BVOC, biogenic volatile organic compounds. Volatile organic compounds produced by plants and trees. They are called biogenic volatile organic compounds. These biogenic volatile organic compounds are produced naturally by trees and plants. These are responsible for the aroma and everything. But what happens is this BVOC gets produced quite a lot when a tree or plant is exposed to a stressed condition. The stressed condition means if you take the trees and if you plant it in the city, what happens is it is exposed to quite a lot of temperature. I think some of you know that average temperature inside the city is 10 degrees Celsius more than what you feel outside the city. So the trees and plants are exposed to 10 degrees Celsius more than what it should be. First stress. Second, it will not get enough aeration. Third, it's not going to get enough space for the root. Fourth, it's going to get quite a lot of pollution accumulated on the surface of the plants, the surface of the leaf. So when trees are exposed to these many stress conditions, it's automatically going to produce a lot of BVOC, that is volatile, biogenic volatile organic compounds. It will produce a lot of volatile organic compounds like isoprene, metoisoprene, this type of things. So what happens is these volatile organic compounds, when it gets emitted a lot by trees and plants, it will get reacted by the pollution in the atmosphere or by radiation or by light, and then it forms secondary aerosol particles, which is responsible for the creating clouds. If you see the nature, it's a very beautiful thing. Like when the trees are exposed, like remove all the humans from the world. When there is a drought, what happens is these plants and trees produce a lot of volatile organic compounds, which helps to bring a lot of rain. But in our condition, what happens is it responds to the stress condition and it produces a lot of volatile organic compounds, and it creates more pollution in the atmosphere. When this isoprene comes a lot in the atmosphere, it will create a lot of irritation to us, like nausea and irritation in the lungs, irritation in the eyes. So what happens is we strongly believe that we do all type of naughty things. We pollute, we kill we kill these aquatic ecosystems. We put all our wastages in this water. We polluted everything, and we make sure we want these trees to help us. These trees are also living in the same environment, and they need the same thing, like good quality air and without like good quality water and these type of things for their survival. One of my friend, he's taking care of a municipality, and he went to a botanical garden and he saw a plant. It gave a beautiful flower, different kind of flowers, different colors. And what he did is like he bought like almost 10,000 plants, and he took it and he planted in the middle of the road for almost 2 kilometers, because he's taking care of the municipality, and he thought it's going to give a lot of beautiful colors in the road. After 1 year, it's supposed to give flowers, but none of the plant give a single flower. Then he called me and asked what could be the reason. And then I went to his place and saw it is in the middle of the road. On the left and right side, there was huge number of vehicles passing by every day. The one reason, the plants underwent a huge amount of stress. So like you may be like worrying, should I not put any trees or plants in my home? Actually not. You make sure that these plants gets enough water, enough aeration, enough space for rooting. And if you get chance, make sure if it's very close to the road, make sure that the leaves are washed away. every day, so they can do the photosynthesis. And there are some plants which produce less volatile organic compounds, and some plants can even tolerate this pollution. So if you want, like, know the name, when I came across these articles, most of the names are in scientific names. I will send the articles to you. They have a lot of scientific botanical names, so you can be careful when you plant trees next to road next time. You try to plant trees which produce less volatile organic compounds, which could be like helpful to you and also helpful to the atmosphere. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bala. It was really a nice talk. Honestly speaking, it is more like an insightful talk. Even I was not aware that other than human beings under stress, the plants are also in stress. And because of the stress, they are adding the pollutants. So we are open to the questions. If anyone from the audience have any kind of questions, please ask. I would suggest Dr. Bala to please name those two books which you have mentioned before we started. Actually, you can write it in the chat box because there are a lot of people who are asking about that. I think Jan, who is here in the audience, she has already read one of the books and she's quite inspired as well.
Yes. Actually, I want to tell one more thing. Sorry. I was in Sweden. Actually, I am still in Sweden. And one of my professor, his name is Hjalmar Lorden. His team did a very interesting research. Some of you know that, maybe most of you know pine trees. If you walk inside the pine trees, you will feel happy. So they were curious how people are telling that when I walk inside the pine tree for a while, I feel happy. Then they did a research and they found that these pine trees, they produce a chemical which will help for humans to produce the happy hormone. So yeah, it's a scientific data. You can even search in the internet. My co-supervisor did this research, and it was a famous research, and it came on different newspapers across Sweden. When I was doing my PhD is a stressful life because most of things goes like this, never goes up. So we had a separate counseling, and the counselors, they told me that whenever you feel stressed, go to the garden, do a walk, make sure you're not thinking anything, make sure you think about only the greenish things that's around you. You will feel really happy. So I'm not telling just based on some myth, I'm telling based on the data. So people over here can trust this data and you can use it in your daily life.
We are open for the questions. If anyone has any questions to ask. Yes, Jan?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Sorry, I've just unmuted now. Yeah, when you were talking about hugging trees, do you believe, or have you ever read anywhere, that perhaps trees have an aura and that they give an aura?
Yeah, that's a good question. People told me that they have these type of things, but I never come across any data or scientific things about this. But some of the scientists whom I'm really impressed, they told me that they had trees. But I don't have any data how these trees get into your body and things like that. But definitely we can measure this data, and maybe someone measured it. Maybe I don't know about those things.
And you're also saying about walking in a pine forest makes you feel better. That's a little bit like sort of a living aromatherapy because of the volatile compounds that are given off. Yes. It's like a sort of a living one. So presumably we can do the same thing within our own home. Yes. I mean, I'm a horticulturalist. Wow, nice. So I mean, I live on the land, I live in the countryside in the UK, and I grow a lot of plants and things. And definitely, I would say when I'm spending time amongst my plants, that I feel much, much better. But there are certain plants which can make you feel a little bit worse too. In the
Yes.
same token, yeah. But around the house, I mean, I'm surrounded by plants. If I move my camera, you'd see what it's like in here. So yeah, definitely something to be said for bringing them into your life, but also respecting their own needs.
Basically, I'm a horticulturist. I did my bachelor's on beta horticulture. In my in now right now I'm in India, and I told my parents that I'm going to live in countryside. They didn't accept it at all. They told me that, why are you moving outside city? And my brother and my family, everyone is inside the city. I told them that I cannot even imagine thinking like coming out of the house and seeing cars and things is unimaginable to me. Because in Sweden, like when I come out of my house, I can see deers, rabbits, because my house is very close to forest. When I open the door, I can see a lot of rabbits and deers outside the door. So like I don't want to do the same thing. So I have farm here. I live near my farm. When I open the door, I can see the river Kaveri. It's one of the big river in Tamil Nadu. And the left side, there is a lot of agriculture plants and trees. So it's quite amazing.
Well, I come originally from London, and I now live in West Wales. So I came from a town, and now I'm living amongst the plants, and I'm much happier. But of course, because I was in London, I spent a lot of time in Kew, and it's nice. Somewhere where if you ever go to England, you must go there. It's fabulous. I spent my youth there. Fantastic. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think we have someone else also. Mary, yes, please unmute yourself and ask the question, Mary.
Yeah, I live in Bangalore, and Bangalore is also an extremely polluted city. Like doctor told that these pollutions are creating stress for the plant. Actually, we see it as a answer to our lungs. We want to breathe fresh air, so we plant something small vegetation at least in our balcony, etc. Now, I don't know whether we are stressing them out or they are helping us out. That is the confusion here. So what is the nature of plants that we should put in the balconies so that we get fresh air and we don't harm them as well? So a guideline to that. Can you please tell?
Thank you. Actually, I forgot to cover those things. Actually, trees the reason why we plant trees are like to reduce the carbon dioxide, to produce more oxygen, and to give we say heat island effect. Like in a small place, like we have a lot of heat. Even though the average temperature is like maybe 30 degrees Celsius, inside the city it may be like 35 or 37. But the trees reduce the temperature back to 30. Trees and plants, they do the job. Like they reduce the temperature, they take carbon dioxide, and they produce oxygen. They do those things. But my suggestion is like make sure these trees and plants, they get enough water, enough aeration, enough space for rooting and things like that. So I can send you an article after this presentation, after this webinar. I'll send you a link. So you can look at the plants that you can plant in your home and things like that. But my suggestion is like, don't worry too much now. Am I going to get affected by these plants? Definitely not. They are going to really help you. But my suggestion is like, when we plant a tree, we put all the things to the tree to make sure to, we ask tree to clean this environment. Although we make all pollution, we ask the trees and plants to clean this environment. But my request is like, when you plant a tree, make sure it gets enough water, enough place for aeration and this rooting and things like that. So don't plant the trees which is not at all used to this habit. Don't plant this in front of the road. So it will be a big shock to them. So I will share the article to you guys. So you can look at those plants, and you can try to find the plants that you can plant it in your houses. But please continue with the plans and things that you are doing right now. You don't have to worry much about it.
Thank you so much.
So just I want to give insight. Thank you. Just
you.
I want to give insight like how these plants and trees are feeling when we put in the middle of the road. They're not feeling happy.
In fact, we have an addition from Jan as well on the chlorophytum that works well. Would you suggest something on that, Dr. Bala? She has mentioned in the chat box.
Okay, maybe I'm sorry, I don't have much knowledge about these things. Maybe yes.
But let us wait after this program. Let us wait, friends, for a list of plants from Dr.
Yes.
Bala. We'll be sharing it with all the participants so that we get to know more about it. Do we have any more questions from the audience?
Yeah, Shivani, I would like to ask a question.
Yes, Ritu.
Yeah. So, Dr. Bala, I want to ask, like, I stay in Delhi, one of the most polluted cities in the world, I would say.
Yes, sorry.
So, facing it personally also, my daughter was diagnosed with allergic rhinitis when she was 3 years old. And since then, she has to be put on the nebulizers and finally now on inhaler when she has turned 10. And these days, I hear it from most of the new parents who have newborns in the houses that in winters, almost like, 40% of newborns here in Delhi are getting affected with the same issue. So one of my yoga batchmate, he suggested me never to put an air purifier in the room because it has its own, the side effects, which can weaken the lungs in the long run. So I never had an air purifier in my bedroom or in my house. Rather, he suggested that you can use many plants. I am using many plants like that, which are suggested every year. I read many articles about those things, like, aloe vera, then anthuriums, many plants of anthuriums like that. But I'm not really sure whether they are actually helping me or not. So any information on that?
One thing, when I spoke with my colleagues, they told me that the plants which has a big leaf, they have a tendency to release more volatile organic compounds. So this is the one thing. But in the article that I'm going to send, they have some list of plants. It's a scientific name, but you can just put in the Google and see if you can get the local names for those plants and try to do that. Like, unfortunately, it's really difficult. Like, if you're going to be in a polluted environment, and it's quite tough to tell that the plants can save you completely. Like, again, the plants are going to face the same issues, like going to get in the stressed condition and things like that. So when they don't have enough space for photosynthesis, when the leaves are completely accumulated by this dust, so it will again get in the stressed condition. So maybe you can do one thing, like getting enough light, enough space, or enough water is not an issue in your place. But make sure you clean these leaf surfaces and things like that, so there won't be any much accumulation of dust particles on it. I think some of you are using curry leaves. If you see the curry leaves, my company is located near to a road. There is a house, they cultivated curry leaves over there. If you see the curry leaves which is cultivated near to the roadside, you can see a lot of dots on it. If you harvest the same curry leaves from a farm, it will be greenish and there will be any dots. It's purely because of this dust accumulation. So this is one of the main reasons. So make sure, the only thing that you can do is, like, make sure your trees and plants are not accumulated by a lot of dust particles. And I have done some research on these air purifiers. Maybe it may have some side effect, but I never came across anything like that. But I'm not 100% sure. So I'm not sure about these things. But some of my colleagues are using air purifiers in India. They are feeling good, but maybe it may have some side effects. I'm not sure.
Thank you, Dr. Bala.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bala. Do we have any more questions? So, Dr. Bala, it seems like having a hobby of gardening, and if you are staying in urban areas near to the cities, both are the lethal combination.
Yes. True.
So, friends, I believe we are good to end this session. It was a great, insightful session by Dr. Bala. Thank you so much, Dr. Bala. We'll be waiting for the list of the plants from your end so that we can share with all the participants.
Sure.
In the meantime, we can ask all the participants to get hold of the 2 special books what Dr. Bala has mentioned, and try whenever you find some pine trees, just walk around them. And a good hug to trees always works. Even yoga also mentioned about hugging trees. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Bala. We are ending the session.
Thank you.
Thank you.